Hi, so this is a question about reactions of acids. So we've got a student has two separate test tubes containing sulfuric acid. So it's sulfuric acid. The student adds a spatula measure of magnesium carbonate. So we know we've got magnesium carbonate in there. It's the first test tube, and a piece of magnesium to the second test tube. Right, so the question is asking explain what the student would see in each test tube and the test they should carry out. So there's two parts of that. So we know we've got two test tubes, and we know we're going to say two things, certainly about both test tubes. Your answer should include word equations for the reactions that would take place. So that would be our third thing. So two test tubes, two things in each, and the word equations. So hopefully that would get us our 6 marks here. So let's start at the beginning. So we've got sulfuric acid. So if we remember anything, an acid plus, and then the first one, we've got magnesium carbonate. Magnesium carbonate would be classified as a metal carbonate. So an acid plus a metal carbonate would give us a salt, right, plus water plus carbon dioxide. Okay, so acid plus a metal carbonate is salt plus water and carbon dioxide. And our second one, so we've got a piece of magnesium, so we've got an acid plus a metal would give us a salt. Right, this time, because it's just a metal, plus hydrogen. Right, so there are our two equations. I mean, we'll put the full word equations in shortly when we actually sort of do our answer, but they're the general overviews. Right, so that's what we're going to see. So we've got carbon dioxide, right, and we've got hydrogen. So if you remember anything, so the test for carbon dioxide is lime water, right, it turns cloudy. So we're going to have to put that in there somewhere when we do the carbon dioxide. So the test for CO2 is lime water turns cloudy, and the test for hydrogen, so that'll be H2, the test for hydrogen, right, is a lit splint, gives a squeaky pop. A squeaky pop. Okay, so there they are, our two gas tests when we come to write it out. And then I think the final thing to say here, with both these, because we're using sulfuric acid, so sulfuric acid, right, we're going to get sulfate salts. Sulfate salts. Okay, now we're ready to have a go at our question. Right, so let's start at the beginning. So let's give our first word equation just to start off so we know where we're going. So we'll have sulfuric acid, right, plus magnesium carbonate is our first one. Magnesium carbonate, right, would give us, right, I have to go below here. I've gone too big too quickly, unfortunately. We've already said, so we always take the name of the metal, so that will be magnesium sulfate. Magnesium sulfate, because it's sulfuric acid, it's magnesium, and sulfuric acid will give us magnesium sulfate. Right, let's go back over here. So plus water plus carbon dioxide, plus water plus, well, I'll just put CO2 because we know it's all carbon dioxide there. Right, so that's our word equation. So tick for the first one. Right, what would we see? Well, the magnesium carbonate would get smaller because it's starting to react with the sulfuric acid, would get smaller, and bubbles would be produced because we know we're producing a gas, so it's going to give off bubbles. Bubbles would be produced. Okay. And the test for carbon dioxide, we said before, is a lit splint. So the test for CO2 would be lime water turns cloudy. So that'll be our first one. Right, and now let's go back to our second one. So the acid plus a metal. So this time we've got a piece of magnesium. So let's do the word equation. Magnesium plus sulfuric acid would give us, again, because we've got magnesium and we've got sulfuric acid, would give us magnesium sulfate. Magnesium sulfate plus hydrogen. Now, because I've done this accidentally, you'll notice it doesn't matter which way around. So we've got sulfuric acid first here, magnesium carbonate, and we've got magnesium here, sulfuric acid. It doesn't matter as long as these, your reactants are on the left-hand side of the arrow. So we've got hydrogen being produced there. So again, what would we see? So the magnesium, so we've got ribbon, just to make sure we know it's a piece of magnesium, would get smaller. So you'll notice we're doing the same thing again as up here. It gets smaller as it reacts, right? And also, right, and because we're producing hydrogen, bubbles would be seen. Well, so again, it's the same. You see the same thing. I mean, although it's difference between magnesium carbonate would be a powder, magnesium ribbon is a piece of metal, but both of them would get smaller and would see bubbles being produced. Right, and again, the test, we've already mentioned the test for hydrogen. I think most of you probably know. So the test for hydrogen would be a squeaky pop with a Litz splint. The reason I keep on talking about the Litz splint because obviously you've got to differentiate that from the oxygen one, but so it's a squeaky pop with a Litz splint. Hopefully that all makes sense. That answer would get you the full 6 marks for this question. Hope that's helpful, and speak to you soon.